Service of documents in 2021 CR 75. See, documents, Costilla County submitted. Let's see, order. This is the order for the motion for recusal. Submitted on January 24th. Submitted by authorization organization, the court. Okay, so I'll just read it straight. Order denying motion for recusal. Order denying motion for recusal. The matter is before the court on the defendant's motion for recusal. Hereinafter a motion, the defendant, John Masters, filed motion November 16th, 2022. The people filed a response. The people. I'm the people. I'm the revolutionary rainbow people. Okay, so background. September 17th, 2021. Law enforcement officers responded to a report of shots being fired. Contacted a Mr. KC. Mr. KC. The alleged victim in this matter, Mr. KC, told the officers that he was making his final delivery of the day when a male party shot at him near the intersection of Delaware Trail and Seminole Road. It's Seminole Trail. Affidavit of warrantless arrest filed September 20th, 21. 3 days later, they filed an affidavit. Okay, at page 1, law enforcement officers approached the property located at 4153 Delaware Trail, where they witnessed a male party walking around the rear of the property. I fired 3 warning shots. There's no disputing that. I fired 3 warning shots in self-defense, in defense of home, person, and property. Article 2, Section 13 of Colorado's Constitution says you have a right to bear arms in defense of home, person, and property. Wasn't shooting at him, it's just kind of crazy that he makes up all this crap and all he had to do was just call the police and say what he had, saw or thought he saw. And then immediately an arrest happened. But I had, I called them dozens of times. Just one example, Robert Pickerel, he was during a drive-by shooting. So that never happened. Got in a vehicle and drove by your house and was shooting guns at you. No, it was at my house, behind my house, while he was driving up and down the property acting like he was going to run into my dog. So he threatened me first. I was peacefully walking my dogs. Not minding, not bothering anybody, totally minding my own business. And then they said at one point the male party grabbed what law enforcement officers suspected was a shotgun or rifle, slung it over his shoulder, and made his way inside a structure that's situated on the property. Thanks. It's my house, but I paid for my planning and zoning permits, but I wasn't allowed to work on my house because of Robert Pickerel and Phil Greeny and Phil Greeny's aunt. They kept, every time I would walk outside, they was driving by my house. I held my fort. I held the fort down, but I don't know who these people are, what the hell they were doing, or what the point was. I'm not allowed to go to the grocery store. I can't go to the post office. I can't go to the local jamboree and find me a wife and raise my family in peace. I can't find myself a career. I can't. Every time I would go out for a bike ride, every time I'd go for a walk, there's Phil Greeny driving by my house. Stopping and going, does he have a gun? Is he going to shoot at me? Who the fuck knows what a fun fucking game this is? But I witnessed Robert Pickerel got into a vehicle. He was with another person, so there's 2 suspects that we should follow up on. But just one example. So he was with the person. There was a driver. And it's Kenny Capin was the driver. Kenny Capin and Robert Pickerel drives up to the intersection and they flash lights up at my house to the second floor of my house to get the dogs barking. Because they're fucking pricks. They're fucking assholes. Now, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking it's stupid as shit. But a part of me in the back of my mind thinks, well, shit, what if they're just fucking with me? So I call the police, and since we live in a police state, that's why swatting works. Since we live in a police state, I'll call the police, and they won't go after the fucking criminals, but eventually, if I call the police enough times, they'll fuck me over. And I didn't think that had a chance of working whatsoever. Sitting there watching some dumb motherfucker. He flashed lights at me. It was bullshit. He was sitting there late at night, 9 o'clock at night. Robert Pickrell, Kenny Capin, flashed their lights at me, drove up to the intersection of Seminole and Delaware, the same intersection we're talking about here. Flashes lights up to my house, to the top of my house, because the dogs were at the top of the house. And they're protector, right? They're protectors. They actually serve and protect. They actually, to protect and serve. So they saw danger, and of course they're going to start barking. Well, I'm sure Robert Pickrell thinks that's fucking hilarious, right? That's, and then as they're driving up, right, they're driving slow as shit, flashing lights up at the house. Well, I fired a warning shot. And then after I fired a warning shot, they drove up maybe another 100 feet and started firing shots at me. The warning shot was fired straight up into the air. He was fucking with me. He knows he was fucking with me. They didn't call the law that time because they were the culprits and they were the criminals. They'd have to really fucking lie about the whole goddamn thing. I called that in. You think they investigated anybody? You think they asked any questions? You think they did any kind of stakeouts or any kind of canvassing? You think they did? You think they made an arrest? Why didn't they make an arrest? This guy just said he saw a thing and then he got an arrest. I saw a thing, and not only did I call it in, but I called everything that I saw in. I also talked to the DA, and I talked to the judge, and I talked to the clerk, and I talked to a whole bunch of other people. Talked to one cop, talked to another cop. Talked to Alonzo Payne, talked to Robert Willett. The DAs, they didn't give a shit about victims' rights. They don't give a shit about there being a presence of justice in the neighborhood. So that's my main question right off the top. Robert Pickrell participated in a drive-by shooting against me. They was fucking with my dogs. I fired a warning shot, and then they're shooting at me. And the reason why I know that they were shooting at me, because you could hear the bullets whiz by. So that happened. That's an accusation. And people say, well, ethically, we're bound to, pursue this. Okay, that's fine. But here's an accusation. So ethically, you are bound to go arrest Robert Pickrell. You're bound to investigate Robert Pickrell. I mean, you should arrest him. You should do the same thing that you did to me, right? I fired warning shots behind my house, at my home. I'm not driving to your all's houses and shooting at you. But that's what happened to me. So that's a worse crime, a worse accusation. So therefore, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Mr. KC says, oh, he had shot at me. Not true. Not true at all. But the arrest had happened, $5,000 bond, this and that. But when Robert Pickrell did the shit to me, he doesn't get arrested. He don't even get a fucking tongue lash, and he don't get any warnings. He don't have to go to court. He's been out of compliance with planning and zoning. He's a legal right-wing sovereign, so he's not in compliance with planning and zoning. He comes in illegally, and he's harassing me because I have a gait, and I'm 6'1". And I'm not a right-wing fucking sovereign fucking Nazi fucking child abusing piece of shit like he is. Birds of a feather flock together. Sovereigns, terrorists, criminals. These motherfuckers have no morals, no ethics. They're not listening to the law, so they just fuck people over. But I filed a complaint. I called them dozens of times before September 17th. It just seems what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If Mr. KC says, hey, person A was shooting at me and person A gets arrested, then when I say, hey, person B was shooting at me, and he actually was, I'm not lying. Mr. KC has also filed a false report in the past. So it's not the first time Mr. KC has filed a false report. Then Mr. Masters, and I'm arrested, charged via information, 1 count of menacing on October 1st. A Class 5 felony, CRS 18-3-2061, A/B. The crux of Mr. Masters' motion is that the court is biased against him and has made efforts to stifle his constitutional rights. I'm not going to read all this explanation because they tried to... I had 25 reversible errors, and they basically didn't even talk about my main points. They didn't talk about my best points. My best points would be when I said they tried to get me into try to get me a lawyer for months. Alonzo Payne tried to get me a lawyer and the judge. And, well, there's some other things. But at one point in time, I said, well, if I get a lawyer, then I have to just stand here like chopped liver. And he's like, well, actually, you do. You do have to just. So the point is to shut me up and to make sure I have no rights. He could twist the arm of a lawyer and force him to force me to go ahead and accept some bullshit fucking plea deal because he don't want to have to damn fight the case to the end. He just wanted to. So a damn lawyer would take $1,000 and then tell you to accept a plea fucking deal. So it's like your own guy. They get your guy that you paid that was supposed to go in there and be your fucking warrior. Here, I'm going to pay you some money, go into court and be my warrior. And then they're such fucking douchebags and they can't stand up to the damn judge. They're just going along to get along. They're just being as nice and sweet as pie and thinking that that's going to be good enough. And then, when that doesn't work, then they only get the crumbs. They're thieves. A lot of fucking lawyers will take your $1,000 and then tell you to plead out when you don't have to. They wouldn't do that for themselves. So him saying that I have to be in court and just stand there like chopped liver. Also, when the new DA came in, and these are actually additional ones that I didn't even mention, but he had mentioned, make sure you put a felony charge on him to the new DA. So, fucking Robert Willett didn't give a shit that Robert fucking, Pickerel, maybe because they're both Roberts. He don't care if the right-wing sovereign movement's going around doing drive-by fucking shootings. He don't care if the cops ain't investigating. He don't care if the cops are neighbors and nobody gives a goddamn flying fuck about the crimes that are happening out there by the Lepata Bridge. Nobody gave a shit. And I'm supposed to, I videotaped it, I wrote it down. I mean, to what extent? I mean, good thing that they're only doing this little dumb petty bullshit, stopping and going and fucking spotlighting and shit. But that could have got a lot worse. And is that what we were going to wait? Wait for Robert Pickerel to get worse and worse and worse and worse? And then when one point, Robert Pickerel, he was actually at my house and he had pointed a crossbow at him. If I would take the crossbow, shoved him down, take the crossbow out of his hands, which I'd been totally right about doing, and then he lied about it. So I have to be the victim of a fucking piece of shit over and over and over again. But the moment I say enough is enough, then I get, what the fuck? What kind of country is this? Because I'm an American citizen? Because I actually paid for my planning and zoning, so they got my name and they got my information. I did everything on the up and up because I'm upfront and upright. But that Robert Pickerel, he goes in as an illegal fucking criminal, an illegal settlement, and starts harassing the honest people. The 6'1" guy that has a gate. Well, he's lawful, so you can't allow that to happen. And I called dozens of times. So this isn't the only fucking time. But yeah, Robert Pickerel participated. He was the one that was harassing me. So at the very least, he's aiding and abetting. That's an attempted murder. And that's aiding and abetting attempted murder. And then that's harassment and stalking it late at night, 9 fucking p.m. You're telling me if a cop, so you got motherfucking Danny Sanchez and Soto Cruz are all hanging out at the house, and Robert Pickerel comes by, flashes his lights at your dogs, and get your dogs all fucking barking and crazy, and then fires shots at you. You're not going to do shit. You're not going to say shit. You're not going to do shit. You're not going to ask a question. You're not going to make an arrest. Why the fuck not, you piece of shit? What the fuck is the fucking difference, you pieces of shit? What the fuck? The only difference is what I did, firing warning shots, was in compliance with Colorado law. Article 2, Section 13. Read it. What did Robert Pickerel do? What was his fucking justification for his fucking... He's being a piece of shit. He's being a provoking, dirty, rotten piece of shit, trying to get me off my claim, trying to steal my fucking boards. Right-wing, sovereign fucking KKK shit. So there's 2 things he actually says here, dispositive, his analysis. And I don't know if the lawyer wrote this and he just signed off on this or if he actually wrote this. But dispositive, let's type in dispositive. So analysis, page 3 or 4. The motion must be denied because Mr. Masters failed to comply with the governing statute's requirements that his motion be verified and supported by 2 affidavits. Now, it does, ask for those things. And so I'm not coming in and saying I'm entitled for a recusal. Verified and supported by 2 affidavits, meaning I would have had to find 2 other people to say that he was being unfair to me. Well, I've been the only person going to court. The only two people that I could get is, the police officers and the clerks and the secretaries and the probation officers and all the people that's a part of the thing. Well, they're not going to sign an affidavit because it's kind of insulting, but not really. A motion to recuse. If I was having to be a judge of a neighbor or a friend or a family member and I am close to the case, I think actually a recusal might be the most beautiful and lawful thing there is. You know what? I am too close to the case. I am biased. I want this person to win. I want that person to lose. And since I know that I'm biased, I'm going to go ahead and step down and I'm going to put this person in charge of the case. And then it's out of your hands and you wash your hands of the whole matter. He says that these deficiencies are dispositive, relating to or bringing about the settlement of an issue or the disposition of property, dealing with the disposition of property by deed or will, dealing with the settling of international conflicts by an agreed disposition of disputed territories. In law, a dispositive motion is a motion seeking a trial court order entirely disposing of all or part of the claims in favor of the moving party without need for further trial court proceedings. So he's saying dispositive. That's it. That's it. That means he didn't have his 2 affidavits. And that's bullshit. He has discretion. And what I was asking the judge to do is look in his own heart. And either A, he was biased and he's like, you know what, maybe I have been biased, but I'm going to be fair from now on. Or maybe he's been fair the whole time and what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So it's bullshit that the criminals are going to fuck with me a whole bunch of times and the court's going to fuck with me a whole bunch of times. Because I'm a good American citizen, because I paid for my planning and zoning, because I have insurance, because I pay for my tax, because I go and vote. I remember one person getting pissed off. My God, you vote? Oh, you think you're better than me? Motherfucker, yeah, I am better than you, you piece of shit. If you don't vote, you don't fucking matter. God damn, if I could have... I've done a lot with just my vote. So if I could have the influence of 1 or 2 or 3 other people's votes, I don't want to tell you how to vote, but to have a conversation about voting and what the thing is, that's all I'm asking for. Before Election Day. Why? Because I care about my society and I care about who's leading my society. And elections are revolutionary. We can change this whole thing. Nobody knows what's going to happen on Election Day. So you want to be a bunch of complaining criminal assholes, a bunch of ignorant fucking dumb fucks. When you could have ran, you could have voted for a person that you liked and got the society that you wanted. As much as I hate public education, since it's run by the Board of Education, which is elected, we can change public education to our liking. It'll take some time. Now, not only is he going to jump on, okay, well, he didn't have 2 affidavits. Okay, I'm not saying that he's definitely biased for sure. I'm saying that it seems like he may be biased, and look in your own heart if you're biased and step down. So it seems like the lawyer's doing too much. It's like the lawyer is defending the judge more than the judge is defending himself. Maybe. I don't know who wrote this. I know that he signed the order, but a lot of times the lawyers will write the whole thing, so all the judge has to do is just sign it. So the motion for recusal is going to be denied. And then they're going to say, as an alternative basis for denying the motion, the court notes that Mr. Masters' conclusory assertions concerning the court's purported bias are based solely on unfounded suspicions. Like I said, he did say that I have to stand there like chopped liver. Now you got to stand there like you're chopped liver and just shut your damn mouth while the lawyer fumbles the ball and tells you that you got to agree to some shit that you shouldn't agree to. No, you have to. You got to stand there like chopped liver. And really, I mean, CRS 166201, that's the statute that sets forth the grounds for disqualification of a judge. Subsection 1 of the statute provides that a judge shall be disqualified to hear or try a matter if A, he is related to the defendant or to any attorney of record or attorney otherwise engaged in the case, which he's not. The offense charged is alleged to have been committed against the person or property of the judge or of some person related to him. And I guess it's not. He's been of counsel in the case. I guess he hasn't. And he is in any way interested or prejudiced with respect to the case, parties, or counsel. So, what I feel like this is saying is either A, maybe he was a little off, he's going to get back on track, or no, I've never been biased at all. And I'm going to carry on with my perfection of not being biased at all. So I don't know how much of a counsel. I mean, you could talk to this person and that person, and they might get your. And I only got his word on it, so I have to just kind of go along with that too. But I feel that it's nice that this is written, because it's saying if he's any way prejudiced with respect to the case, parties, or counsel, then he does need to sit down. Notably, CRS 16-62013 requires a motion for recusal, disqualification of a judge to be verified and supported by affidavits. That's also on CRCP, Colorado Rules of Criminal Procedure. A motion for a change of judge on any ground must be verified, supported by the affidavits of at least two credible persons not related to the defendant, stating facts showing the existence of grounds for disqualification. Even if I had the two affidavits, he would be within his rights and discretion to say that he doesn't have to do it. Two affidavits of, so what, just two people that walked in with me from out of the streets that's not related to me, that doesn't know me, that saw that he is being biased, and then it's, you're kind of criticizing a judge. So even if they witnessed it and thought that he was being biased, they might be afraid. They might be too afraid to actually, so I wasn't asking him for all the affidavits. I was just asking him to do it within himself. And I don't. If it was based upon his own, maybe he would have actually done it. If it was just based upon his own thinking. Again, I'm not for sure who wrote this. If it was the DA, the new DA, or if it was Michael Gonzalez, but he signed off on it. Assuming a motion complies with the requirement for verification in affidavits, the motion and affidavits must state facts from which it may reasonably be inferred that the respondent court has a bias or prejudice that will in all probability prevent it from dealing fairly with the petitioner. Kane v. County Court, Jefferson County. He did pass a motion for a fair trial. He's rejected 90% of my damn motions too, so he also rejected a recent motion which I thought he wasn't supposed to rule on until after the damn trial. So, Kane v. County Court, Jefferson County, Colorado Appeals 2008. Conclusory allegations are not sufficient. The facts alleged in a motion to disqualify. It's almost like, I don't even know if the judge would have defended himself to this, level, but the DA is. No, we need to have the judge, and we got to have the judge, and they're doing all this work. Again, we haven't even asked Robert Pickerel a single goddamn question. He committed a crime against me in 2020, in 2021, before I got arrested. I saw dozens of fucking crimes before I got arrested. I lived in a high crime neighborhood with no police officers, and then a big rig is driving by and he's acting like he's going to drive over my dogs. So I fired a couple warning shots. You're goddamn right I did. And that was it. And then I drove around the block, and then I parked in front of my driveway and in front of where Tecumseh was murdered by one of the locals. Be interesting to see who knows about that and what they know about that. You got information about who killed my dog and you never told me about it? Well, hell, that's a reason to have a trial just for that reason. So you know about the major fucking crimes. A fucking felony was committed. Did you even canvass the neighborhood, ask a question, do a stakeout, do a sting operation? Did you do anything? Let's see here. Suspicion, speculation, conjecture, innuendo. There may be statements of mere conclusions. Bakken v. Owners Insurance Company. Colo App 2020. Citation omitted. The court's decision will be upheld unless the record demonstrates the court abused its discretion or exceeded its jurisdiction. Kane. As previously mentioned, the court must deny the motion because Mr. Masters failed to verify it and support it by affidavits of at least two credible persons not related to him. CRS 16-62013. Even if Mr. Masters had satisfied these necessary components of a request, even if I had the two fucking affidavits for disqualification, the motion would still be denied because Mr. Masters' allegations are purely speculative and conclusory. If I had two affidavits, it's not speculative and conclusory. If I had two other affidavits. And of course, the judge is like, I am fair, and I'm always fair. And it's risky to, insult, criticize the judge. It's just that, after a person has pushed you around so much, and it's like, man, I really don't want to have to tell you all this, but here we go. Really seems like you're biased. Seems like you're biased. It doesn't seem like you're a fair. It seems like anybody that the cop arrests, you're just going to put them through the tank, just kind of drag them through the mud, drag them as much as you can. So allegations of this sort have been found to be insufficient. The facts alleged in a motion to disqualify must not be based on mere suspicion, conjecture, innuendo. Given Mr. Masters the benefit of the doubt, the court has considered the criteria for disqualification in relation to the circumstances of this case. After doing so, the court sees no issue with it continuing to preside over this case. For this reason, the motion is denied. A hearing on the other pending motions Mr. Masters filed on this matter remains set for January 25th, 2023 at 3 p.m. Order. It is therefore ordered that the motion for recusal is denied, done on this 24th day of January 2023 by the court, Michael A. Gonzalez, District Court Judge. And that looks like an electronic signature. Would he just sign it on a computer screen and then printed it? Or this is a copy, but that seems like that's a computer signature, isn't it? And does that say Michael Gonzalez? It kind of looks like 1, 2. Looks like he just drew 3 little O's. Yep, Michael Gonzalez. Michael Gonzalez. There you go. So it's the Chief Judge of the SLV, 12th Judicial District, Mineral County, Swatch, Rio Grande, Conejos, Costilla, Alamosa. He also denied my change of venue. The Alamosa courtroom would have been a lot better. But again, I wasn't entitled to it. I wasn't asking to be entitled, but that it was a preference, and hopefully his preference aligned with my preference. Because he mentioned every time I go into the damn courtroom in San Luis, it's so small. They got a, security little thing there, so you walk through the metal detector, but you're just so bunched up every time. Then the security guard doesn't pass the stuff to you, so you have to reach over him to get the stuff that you put, your change or whatever. You have to reach over him to pick it up after the thing doesn't go off. And it's like, can't you just hand me this stuff so I'm not reaching over you? Because when I'm reaching over you, it's a police officer. So he's got all of his, his mace and his taser and all the whatnot. And we're just so bunched up and close together. And, they're the one that has a gun. I've never brought any kind of weapon whatsoever. Never thought about bringing any kind of weapon whatsoever. So, it's just so damn small. And, people might be suspicious of one another, reasonably suspicious. But when you kind of cram them into each other's faces, then you kind of force them to be confrontational when, if you had a little bit of breathing room, if you had a little bit of space. In Alamosa, you got like 3 or 4 chairs per desk, and then you got a whole huge gallery, like 100 people could go into an Alamosa courtroom. The courtroom in San Luis, I don't think you get 20 people in the damn. I mean, you're going to have 12 jurors, and then you're going to have the witnesses and the public and the press and anybody else that wants to sit in the gallery. It's just everybody's all bunched up. Everybody's in. And I got some other reasons too. I live, in Conejos County, so it'd be better we both live over here. So, and district or county. So it's a 6-county district. The judge could try any of the court cases in any of the other 5 counties, as long as it's in the district. That's all the U.S. Constitution says. So he wouldn't have broke the Constitution by changing the venue. But, for future reference, if he thinks that, Conejos County is biased, then he could try it in Swatch County, or he could try it in Mineral County. And that would be unbiased, because you have a whole bunch of people that really has no idea who that person is, who this person is. They just, let's get to the truth. Let's get to the bottom of things. Let's sort this thing out to the best of our abilities. So there you go. That was just, I wanted to read that to you. I don't know how much of those court cases he's actually read, Kane v. County Court, but 16-6-2013, right? And it says, even if he did have, 2 affidavits, even if he did do all the, dotted his I's and crossed the T's, we still would have recused him. Why? Or recused his recusal. Why? And also, I'm glad too that the background kind of just states, okay, there is a report of shots fired, and the alleged victim reported shots fired, and so that's where it all went from there. And I fired, warning shots, so there's no disputing shots fired. Shots were fired, definitely. 3 warning shots from behind my house, straight up into the air. After he passed by once, acting like he was going to run over my dog, drove to the end of the road. And he omits 2 things, but we'll talk about that later.